Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Limited Time Only. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the pummeler, Danny Cathro.
Woo! Oh yeah.
I like how I say that. You didn't actually pummel people this weekend,
Oh,
but
I've
you would have tried.
filled. I've gotten my fill.
Okay. Well, what's up, man?
Not too much. I've played quite a bit of draft. I like it.
Good.
The format's interesting. It's like I haven't had as much quick success as I have in other formats. So it's been a good experience. Try to learn.
I think this actually is mostly because the format comes out early on MTGO. So, like, I also am feeling the same way where, like, I did really well in that PPTQ, right?
Yeah.
Where, like, having a draft camp is, like, actually a big advantage, right?
For
sure. We're only playing against good players. It gives us a really good, like, honestly, if I could had made all of the PPTQs in the last couple of weekends limited, I probably would have done it because I feel like that's where my edge is right now. But at the same time,
it's like a pretty big edge over
in sealed, but like I don't know that we actually have that edge in draft, right? Because like while we're doing a lot of drafts, like I think that I've done 10, 13 drafts, which is like what I would do to prepare for a Pro Tour, right? Is like about 15 drafts.
Yep.
Like everyone else has also done that because it came out early on Moto.
I was watching coverage today and they said that one of the guys that I think he made top 8, he had done like 70 plus drafts or something already. Like, and that's just something that you can do because it came out so early.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get right into this. So first of all, don't forget that you can support this podcast and our other podcasts on the Constructive Criticism channel by going to patreon.com/ccmtg. Starting at $1 per month, anything that you see fit is really appreciated, and it means the world to us. Like, the amount of patronage that we're getting right now means that very soon we'll be able to like pay for GPs and stuff like that and really get us out to more events. So go to patreon.com. If every listener of this show and Constructive Criticism just paid $1 per month, I mean, it would change our lives. We would just go to all of the GPs. It would be a great experience for us. We'd be able to give you more, better content. So check it out, patreon.com/ccmtg. If you're in Salt Lake or the Salt Lake Valley, we have a sponsor at GameGrid. You can go at play@gamegrid.com, find a GameGrid near you. They are a great place to play Magic. We really do mean that. If you are in the Salt Lake Valley and soon to be more places, check them out, play@gamegrid.com. They will soon be going into major content into esports and also selling Magic products. So check it out, play@gamegrid.com, and stay tuned for more from them. Let's go right into our first segment. So every week on the show, one of the points of this show and last week's show is to get us ready for our biggest mover segment. Every week on the show, we want to talk about the things that have moved the most for us. And while we're a little bit behind in this format because of scheduling and stuff like that, we still want to talk about our biggest movers. And I have some real ones. So I want to talk about my biggest up this week, Danny.
Yes.
And that is the black cartouche.
I was literally going to say the same thing.
It is my biggest up by a huge margin.
Oh,
that card is a blowout.
Yep. It's insane.
What is it that you found about this card that also makes it your biggest mover up for the weekend or for the week?
At first I thought that it had to kill something for it to be good enough. Which a lot of times it actually does kill something, which is the impressive thing. Yeah, it kills a lot of things. But even if it doesn't, it's still good. The reason why is because you're kind of invalidating a creature. So even if you're turning their 2/2 into a 1/1, it's not dead. But if you have a 3/2 that you're looking to attack with, it's in essence dead. Like, it can no longer trade for what it was going to trade for. So that has come up a lot for me, where it's invalidating a creature, maybe not killing it, but still doing a similar job. And then the format is aggressive enough that I think the lifelink is the best keyword that could be put onto the cartouche. But
yeah, to be honest, like the cartouche of ambition, I have killed lots of creatures with it, and I've also just made so many things not matter with the card, kind of like you said. And that's a really big deal. Like, at the end of the day, what more could you want from a card than invalidate your creature, attack, gain a bunch of life? And honestly, my creature is big enough at this point that your board doesn't matter for a couple of turns. And then I have lifelink, and where it really shines, I think, is in like the the green black decks.
Yes,
where
for sure.
This might sound stupid, but I have now drafted and lost to. It was funny. I played in that sealed PPTQ. I don't know if we've done an episode since that sealed PPTQ.
I'm not sure,
but I'm in the quarterfinal or the semifinals of this top 8, and my opponent does nothing other than ramp for a couple of turns. Plays the 6-mana 6/7 hexproof guy. Plays black cartouche on it. Attacks. I'm like, oh man, that's a beating. And then he's like, green cartouche, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I lose this game. And the next game, he plays the 2-mana ramp creature, plays the crocodile early, puts the counter on the ramp creature, attacks for 5, untaps, play black cartouche, attacks, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could never ever win this.
Yeah.
And it's because of the way that the format is constructed, you just invalidate so many other cards with this simple card of Cartouche of Ambition. So it is easily mine and your biggest movers up, because I mean, we're gonna go over our black commons, but I don't think my black commons would have been the same before I got to play with this at a time.
Yeah, the card is great. Really, really, just overperformed unbelievably.
My biggest movers down is actually aggro decks in sealed. So my first experience with sealed was the best deck I've had in this format. It was a red-white aggro deck, and the deck was better than everything I've drafted, everything else I've done in sealed. I posted a picture of it. You can see it online. It might actually just be the best deck in the history of this limited format. I'm not actually joking. I actually think it might be it was triple Gustwalker, double the deck was insane. And I was like, oh, well, you just play aggro to win in this format. Not true. You needed that specific deck to do that. Honestly, I just think aggro in the sealed format's a little bit worse than I thought. Most of the decks that I've seen that are good are grindy green decks, grindy blue-black decks, grindy green-black decks. They're just grindy decks in sealed. And I think the decks like red-black and red-white really need to find their space to be really good. You can draft aggressive green-red or not draft. You can play sealed green-red and have pretty good success. But I typically find that the sealed decks that are aggressively slanted are a little bit worse than the sealed decks that try and grind you out in this specific sealed format.
Yeah, so I've had the same impression with sealed where that's just kind of how sealed generally is. I think the exception is when you get aggressive sealed formats. You have to have a really high amount of powerful 2-drops at common. Just because when you're in aggressive deck, the 2-drop slot is the most important. And if you look at red as an example, the 2-drops, there's the 2/1, the Talkrop Elite that exerts, and that one's pretty good. But then the prowess guy is not very good if you're trying to be aggressive. The 1/3 prowess, it just doesn't do enough, and it can't kill them very fast. And so if you open 2 of the prowess guy, then you're just not going to have very many red 2-drops to be aggressive with. And it's hard to build aggro decks in sealed very often.
Yeah. What is this? So for me, I felt like this is more slanted against aggro than typically.
Yeah, I can see that. There's compulsory rest, I think, does a lot for that also. Pacifism is really good against the aggro decks, and then it kind of punishes you if you're playing aggro and you play compulsory rest, then they get to gain 2 life, which is kind of a thing that could help them a lot. Yeah, there's I think lots of little things that kind of work against it. The sealed decks that are trying to go 3 colors will play the 1-mana 0/3, and then if you're all in on your 2/1s, that guy's going to be a real issue for you. There's just lots of things that combine to make it so that it's not beneficial to force aggro in this format, in the sealed format.
Okay. Are there anything that I didn't mention that might be your biggest ups or downs in biggest movers?
So my biggest down is probably going to be do nothing cyclers. So at the beginning of the format, I was playing I would have 1 or maybe 2 payoffs for cycling, and I would include some do nothing cyclers in my deck, because I was thinking oh, the cost is really low. This Scarab Feast cycles for 1, so I can play it, and then if I draw my the demon, but that's the Archfiend of Ifnir, but that maybe it's worth it to play the do nothing cyclers, but I just think in general you're not going to want to put do nothing cyclers in your deck. You'd rather play a land or a spell, and they're just not worth it, even if you just have like one minor payoff.
Yeah. Should we just go right into our rankings or to our set review? It's kind of a big deal. Like this is the culmination of like the thing that we want to do on the show, right? We want to do an uncommon set review, a common set review, and build every set off of those things, and really give you guys a preface to build the format around. This set is a little bit different because I think that this set actually is a very Prince-like format. For those who don't know, there's this idea of a Prince and Pauper format, where in a Pauper format, it's built upon commons and uncommons, and in a Prince format, it's built upon rares. And this format is definitely built upon its rares more so than its commons and uncommons.
Yeah, there are some very powerful rares that are actually at rare, not at mythic rare, which causes them to come up a lot more frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go right into this. So, Danny, why don't we start with white, and why don't you give your top 3 white commons?
Okay, so my number 1 for white, I had Compulsory Rest. Number 2, I had Gustwalker, and number 3, I had Fanbearer. I think we actually had the same 3 as the top 3, but in different orders.
Yeah, so my top 3 is number 3, Compulsory Rest, number 2, Fanbearer, and number 1, Gustwalker. Whereas, you had, just slightly different.
Yeah. I think, like, these 3 cards are all very good. I like Compulsory Rest a lot. I think mostly unconditional removal in terms of power toughness removal is good.
I just disagree completely. It actually would have been my number 1, but after playing the format, I found that too often, because of -1/-1 counters, because of other things, like they were just able to make the creature you put that on not matter and benefit their other creatures to the point where, like, I was very unhappy with the card.
Interesting. I think that
unhappy comparatively how I would typically be with a pacifism.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like actually unhappy, right? Like I still kill the dude.
Yeah. There's also some like very bad combos. So like the black trial is like a good card, and if you're in black, but if you're playing black white, you have this real tension of if you have a black trial and some black cartouches, and then you want to play Compulsory Rest, you have to be very careful with how you sequence your removal spells, and I can definitely see why you would have it lower. I could see it going to number 2 and Gustwalker being number 1, because Gustwalker is like really, really insane. That card's ridiculous.
So in our draft in the top 8, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a Gustwalker or 2 wheeling the entire table, and I was like, I wish I was white. What is happening?
So a 2/2 that can gain flying and attack for 3 is really, really good. The problem with your 2-drops is that they'll get in 1 hit and deal 2 damage. Or if you're on the draw, sometimes they don't get in a hit. And then they just kind of sit there and they don't do anything, or they'll kind of like trade 2 for 1 or try to like double block. But so Exert, you would think it would be like a major drawback that it doesn't untap, but it being able to get 3 flying points of damage in every other turn is so much better than what a typical 2-drop would be able to do. So a normal 2-drop, you would play it, and then from turns 3 on, it would sit there and not do anything. But Gustwalker, from turns 3 on, every other turn it gets in 3 flying damage, which is huge, and especially if you're aggro.
If you're an aggressive deck, oftentimes it's like attack for 2, attack for 2. So if they play a Fanbearer, it's like, all right, you're gonna tap this. It's like, great, you like tapped my 2-drop, like congratulations. Yep. Or they'll like use this real removal spell on this card that just shouldn't matter in your deck, right? It's just this common 2/2 that's sitting in your deck, and it gives you some real advantages throughout the game that I just don't think that you get from a lot of 2-drops. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is the one from Origins, the 2-mana
Token Freeblade.
Yeah, Token Freeblade is like the only card I can think of that like even comes close to this card.
Yeah. Tobin Freeblade was a house, and this card does feel a lot like it. It honestly plays a lot like a 2-mana 3/3 flyer. Yeah,
it really does.
Not every time, but like even just doing that every other turn is completely insane. It's so good for a 2-drop. It's for what you're paying. It's so good.
Yep.
But
so let's talk about Fan Bearer because we both have this on our list really quick. So what is it that brings this card up so high for you? I mean, we've had a lot of tappers that pay 2 to tap. Why is that better in this set than it's typically been?
So the first Fan Bearer in my deck, I'm really happy with, and the second one I'm okay. Like you can go a little bit overboard with Fan Bearers just because it gets expensive if you have 2 out at the same time. But there's a lot of this set is a lot about combat. Not all limited sets come down to just what's on the board, and especially recently, a lot of them have kind of been about building your deck to have very powerful synergies and abusing the synergistic nature of the set. But in this set, it doesn't really feel like that. It's mostly just kind of playing dudes and attacking. A lot of what is happening is just that. And so a tapper in that type of a format becomes a lot more powerful because it's a 1-drop that you can play on curve and that it can answer a current threat, and then it can also switch and start answering their biggest threat. So when they play their Colossipede, it can just take out their Colossipede. And it's a good effect, and it's in a format where a tapper seems really, really powerful.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, I'm kind of the same way. Like I really like my first 2 of this card, but I really like my first 1.
Yeah, and the first one is way better.
Yeah, the first one, especially when you have it, like if this card is in your opener, even the thing is that I don't think people realize how good this is in aggressive decks. They like think of this as this controlling card, but like I actually think it's really good in the exert decks because it plays both sides of the field really well. Where it's like, okay, well I'm going to exert both my guys. I'm going to tap down your guy that's going to make my exert guys not matter, and then I'm going to attack with both my exert guys and exert them. Then next turn I'm going to tap down this guy so that you can attack me back, so that I get a turn to untap with my exert guys. And it's like, wow, that was like a really powerful sequence that wasn't really fair.
Yep. It's very similar to the artifact that makes it like you can kind of get both of those going, like the uncommon artifact that makes it so creatures can attack or block or activate abilities. Like you can kind of develop this like annoying white deck that kind of swarms and takes care of whatever one big threat you have and then attacks a bunch of people into you. And the Fan Bearer is a big part of that strategy.
Well, let's go on to our blue commons. I'm going to go first this time. So I have Aven Initiate at number 3, Illusionary Wrappings at number 2, and Shimmer Scale Drake at number 1. What are your rankings?
So mine is pretty different. Number 1, I had the blue Cartouche. Number 2, I had the Shimmer Scale Drake. And number 3, I had the Taw Crop Skirmisher. Mostly, I just think the blue commons aren't that great, and they're just kind of like blah cards. I think the Shimmer Scale Drake is very good. That's the one card that I'm excited with. And then I think the blue Cartouche pairs well in certain other colors. So like in blue-green specifically, the blue Cartouche feels really, really, really good.
Yeah. So I think that we can both agree that Shimmer Scale Drake is good. Like
yeah, that card is great.
Like a 3/4 flyer for 5 that you get a cycle for 2 is just a good magic card in limited. And it's felt like that for me. I actively want multiple Shimmer Scale Drakes in my sealed pool. In my blue-black decks, I want multiple of them in my draft decks. The card is just, it fits well into multiple strategies, whether it's blue-green or blue-black. That's kind of where the card fits the most, and that's where I want the card.
That card is definitely very, like, it's a role player, very good, solid, good card. I have had a lot of success with the Cartouche and Trial synergies. Like taking a Trial early and having some Cartouches has been a way to kind of supplement a low amount of bombs in my deck. Because like you said, I do think that this format rewards like bomby cards, and I kind of I've had some success with kind of making a create your own mythic rare, where if you play a Trial of Zeal and then bounce it and then play it again, your Trial of Zeal is kind of functioning like a mythic rare.
I feel like you could say that about any of the cartouches. Well, I do think that the blue cartouche is pretty good. I think that both Avian Initiate and Illusionary Wrappings are just better on their own. So Illusionary Wrappings is one that I probably would have had lower before I played this set a lot, but because of how bomb heavy the set is, I actually do like the card, where it turns some of their bombs into like cards that don't matter as much. Now, obviously, like if they have an Archfiend or a Glory Bringer, like, yeah, that card looks stupid, but a lot of the other bombs in the set, the card actually does really well against.
Yeah, or even just a lot, like, I think the large green creatures is
there's so many. They're pretty big
strategies in this set. Like Colossopede is a house. That card's ridiculous. And then the Greatest Sandworm. That card is really silly. And
the greatest one. That's great.
The Greatest Sandworm. But that card is like really, really good. And then Illusory Wrappings lines up very nicely against green. I definitely admit that it does.
So one of the cards that you have is Talkrop Skirmisher. That, for those who don't know, that's the 2-mana 2/1 that has Embalm for 4. That's a Naga Warrior. It's blue and 3 to Embalm, blue and 1 to cast. So I'm actually really interested in this. I was really high on this card when this set started, and you and Michael kind of brought me down on it. You guys were like, no, I don't want to draft this card. And I was like, I don't know. Like, it seems like it trades early, and then it's just great late.
So the reason why it's kind of gone up for me is I just think 2-drops are so important. I think that the format, you have to get onto the board early, and you need to play a 2-drop, because if you don't have bomb rares, then your best way, you have to get onto the board early. And even if you have bomb rares, then you want to get to your bomb rares. So the format rewards like playing a 2-drop. And in blue, it's the best 2-drop by quite a bit. Like the certain decks will prefer the 1/3 that can draw and discard.
Sure.
But in general, I think the 2/1 that can come back is better. And so that's why it's kind of gone up as like a necessity for blue almost, that I think my blue decks need to be playing a 2-drop on turn 2 most of the time. And so I need to play this card.
And for me in that slot, I have Avian Initiate, this 3/2 for flyer for 4. Honestly, one of the things that I've noticed is if in the decks that I'm drafting, it's either for blue, it's either blue-red, blue-green, or blue-black. And I really want Avian Initiate in all of those decks.
Yeah. I think Avian Initiate's a solid card. A lot of the times when I'm making my power ranking, it's how replaceable I think it is. So white is a great example where I thought about putting one of the white 3-drops on the third slot instead of Fanbearer.
Is it Spearmaster?
Yeah, the Spearmaster, yeah.
Yeah, I also thought about that too. Spearmaster is just like, in the games where you're on the play, Spearmaster is like one of your best cards, whereas like on the draw, any other 3-drop would probably do the same thing. So I kind of understand what you're saying.
And so the replacement level of, like in that example of the Spearmaster, I thought was high. Like you can get a different 3-drop. And so in blue, I kind of thought the same way about the Avian Initiate. Is most of my blue decks have random flyers. It doesn't really matter which flyers I win with. Like Avian Initiate's a good one. Like I like it. But I also have Shimmer Scale Drake, and I have like there's like some uncommon flyers. Like if I'm in blue-white, there's the blue-white flyer. If there's
I don't know that I agree on this scale, because I actually do think that this card's upside is a lot higher than its replacement effects.
Okay.
Only
I can
because,
definitely see that.
Because of the colors that you're wanting to draft it with, right? Like, because you like maybe in blue-white specifically, which is what you're talking about, it's not as good. But like when I think about it, I'm thinking of blue-black, blue-green, blue-red, and all of those colors actually would rather have this card over its replacements. Whereas in blue-white, it could be that this card has higher replacement in blue-white, but I don't think that's true in the other color combinations. I think that in the other 3, this card in blue is actually really high compared to its other slots. Like, would you rather have this card in blue-green, or when you look at green itself, for example, its 4-drops are not quite as good because it gets cards like Colossopede, right? it has stuff at uncommon, right? Like the crocodile, and it has like.
But its 4-drop is like the quarry
quarry hammer, right?
Yeah.
So, but that
or a
card
giant
doesn't
spider,
fit.
which you don't really want.
The giant spider's not that good. Quarry hauler also belongs in a different deck than the blue-green deck, right? So even initiate fits into this deck a lot better. And then if you go to blue-black, like it's very likely that you might be discarding this card, and then it just has huge upside. If you go into blue-red, it like this is the best 4-drop you could have in blue-red, probably by a big margin. Only because
blue-red, you definitely want the flyers because it combos really well with the uncommon that you get also.
Exactly. So obviously in blue-white, it's not as good, but I think that in the other combinations with blue, it probably serves the biggest purpose, which is why I had it on my list.
That makes sense. I can definitely see that, and I agree with that for sure.
Okay. Well, let's move on to black. What do you have? It's your top 3 black cards.
So for me, I still have the final reward as number 1. And then number 2, I have the black cartouche, the cartouche of ambition, and then number 3, I have wander in death.
We have the same 3 cards, just in a different order. I have cartouche of ambition at number 1, final reward at number 2, and wander in death at number 3. I can. No, I actually can't. At this point, I cannot see your argument for final reward above cartouche of ambition, only because of the blowouts that you get with cartouche. It just makes it a higher pick to me than final reward would be. Like if I had the same 2 cards, I might actually pick cartouche above it. In fact, I think I would.
So I think I've just played against so many Archfiends of Ifnir and Glorybringers that I really, really want a card that I can just say, kill that thing. That thing, get it out of here.
Here's the thing, though, is I understand what you're saying, right? You want to kill their bombs in this like very Prince-heavy format, but Cartouche of Ambition turns your Pauper card into a Prince card.
Yep. I can definitely see, like, I think they're both very good, and when you take which one will definitely be very contextual, depending on what your deck looks like, how well it uses the cartouche, how much other removal you have. I think it's very close. And then, which is it's very impressive that it's close, because the cartouche of ambition did not look like it would be best black common.
No.
Like, I think if you put that in another set, it probably isn't not even close.
And the same can be said for our 3rd place card. We both have Wander in Death at number 3, and it might just be because of how powerful the card is in one deck.
Yeah, that card is so silly.
In the blue-black deck, it is the card you want.
Yeah.
Like, who knew that, like, this would be the best divination of all time in Limited in getting back 2 creatures with cycling, right? Like, it's actually crazy.
Yeah. It can be... So, in Sealed, it's even more insane. I think in Draft,
Sealed, it's unreal.
Sometimes it's a little slow, but still excellent. But in Sealed, it's like it feels like a bomb rare sometimes. Like, they draw Wander in Death, you're like, how can I win?
No, honestly, I think that if I had not had double Wander in Death I've played 2 Sealed tournaments. One of them was 2-headed giant with you, and one of them was a PPTQ. And I had double Wander in Death, blue-black cyclers in both formats. And it was like, well, this isn't close. Like, this is the best card in my deck. Like, I could, like, honestly, for real, like, because of the fact that I have either Drakehaven or whatever bomb I have, like, just getting back 2 cyclers to get closer to my Drakehaven, or just when I have Drakehaven in play or whatever payoff card I have in play, this card is the thing that I want to draw to close out those games.
And so that effect of it is so good, and it still just has cycling. If you're about to miss your 3rd
also
drop,
for some reason it has cycling.
It's exactly. So good.
It's in the blue-black deck. This is the linchpin card, and it's funny. Like, people might be saying, like, you guys are talking about one card that's basically a divination in one deck, but it's so key to that deck existing that it just jumps that high in how powerful it is.
Yeah.
Like,
and in that deck, you can just play 3 Wander Deaths.
And to be honest, you might want this in black-green too, right? While it says it's best. Yeah. Well, I don't know that I played in any other black decks. Like, I wouldn't play it in like black-red. I wouldn't play it in black-red.
It was a very grindy black-white deck. I wouldn't generally play it in black-red, but in black-white, it's been good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, we both have it at our number 3 spot.
Yeah.
And I think that if we hadn't played this set, we would not have it there.
I agree. I definitely agree with that.
So let's talk really quick. We've obviously talked about a lot about Water and Death. Where do you actually think that this lines up? Because I'm pretty hard on Cartouche of Ambition being number 1 in black.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that the ability to turn your prince cards, your puppet cards, into prince cards versus killing their prince cards is better. But I don't know, because like the prince formats that we've had are, for example,
Fate Reforged was the largest offender.
But the thing is that those were enchantments, right? So like Final Reward wouldn't have helped you there.
No. I'm trying to think of one where I think in Battle for Zendikar and Oath, there were lots of very large threats, but you had Isolation Zone and Oblivion Strike to answer both of them. And so I think just there's like, this is the only card in the format that is like a blanket answer, right? At common.
No.
At common, that just kills anything, right? And so I just think it's just so important. Like, I agree. I definitely think Cartouche of Ambition is excellent, and I still think it'll be contextual. Like, I would take my first final reward over my first cartouche normally, just because it's an effect that I really want access to. But
I don't know. I can't decide. Like,
it's tough.
So if I draft a green bomb first, I'm always taking cartouche before I take final reward.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But if I draft anything else, I might take final reward. It's really, really hard, because the cards are both depend on like what color. Like if I'm red black or green black, I always would rather have cartouche. Yeah. But if I'm blue black or black
even
white
black,
I might rather have final reward. So they're really close to each other.
That's interesting.
Let's move on to red. So for me, I have number 3 Emberhorn Minotaur, number 2 Magma Spray, and number 1 Electrify. I think that these are the best 3 red cards by a lot, but you have a different card at number 3.
So it's kind of similar to what happened in blue. So my number 3 card I have as the Neff Crop Entangler. To defend myself, I agree that the Minotaur is a much better card. But I think the red decks need to be very aggressive, and this card is the best aggressive 2-drop by quite a bit.
I actually think you're wrong by quite a bit. So yeah, I actually think that I could see your argument with the blue card for replacement value in multiple decks, but I actually think that there are so many good 2-drops
in red.
No, in all of the colors.
Okay, sure.
Like, I didn't think that like Nimble Blade Karena would be good, but like here's the thing, is that I actually don't think that there's much of a difference between Pathmaker Initiate and Neff Crop Entangler at this point.
Yeah, so Pathmaker Initiate's overperformed, I think.
Yeah, I think that you could basically, no matter what color combination you get a really good 2-drop, and I don't think that there is a better. Like, I think that Emberhorn Minotaur might be the best common 4-drop in the entire set.
Yeah, no, that card is excellent. It's very, very good. I think so. I think it's just like like how I tend to draft. I put a very large priority in making sure I have lots of 2-drops.
Hold on, you're talking to me.
I know. But like, I make sure I have 2-drops, so it's a hedge. So I can go really dirtily and be like, hey, I have 8 2-drops. They're not gonna kill me too quick. I'll eventually draw all my dirtle spells. Sure. Or I also draft aggro pretty often, and then having 8 2-drops is great. And so the Minotaur is definitely a better card, and you might be right that you're just supposed to take the Minotaur because it's so good.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you were claiming that it was about replacement value, and I just don't believe that's true in this set. Like, there's a common 2/2 for
that's very comparable.
That's colorless, right? In this set. that nobody wants. Oh, actually, it's an uncommon. I didn't realize it was an uncommon.
Yep.
Nobody wants it still. I don't know. Like, I just don't think. Like, here's the thing: if this card turned into a 3/3 trampler rather than a 3/2 trampler, I think you might be right. But I've had
no, it is a 3/3 trampler.
No, it is not.
Yeah, it is. It literally turns into a 3/3 trampler.
I might have misplayed during my top 8.
Yeah, it gets +1/+2.
That card's way better than I thought it was.
Yeah, no, this card's really good.
Well, hello, everybody, to me reading cards live on the set review.
No, that like, it's like Pathmaker's like combo as well with some cards, but like Nefcrom.
Hold on, I need to think. So
I need to think.
This might be a better 2-drop than basically everything that you could get in red.
Dustwalker's better.
Well, yeah, Dustwalker is better, but like, let's say you're red-black, right? So like, that's what I'm trying to think about is like, if you're red-black, where do you go? And honestly, like, black just doesn't have that good. It might not have any 2-drops.
You have to play the mummy.
I'm actually looking, and it looks like you have no 2-drops, right? And then if you go to red-blue, I guess in red-blue you might actually rather have the 1/3.
Yeah, red-blue. It's on. You honestly don't care. You'll probably just play the blue.
And then in green,
2-drops.
In green-red, you would rather have the Vitalist.
I think actually. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I think you'd rather have the Vitalist in green red, and even in that sense, yeah, I'm gonna stick with my rankings. I think that the card is way better than I thought it was because the extra point of toughness really matters. But I still think that as far as like common 4-drops go, like you should be taking Emberhorn Minotaur pretty highly.
Yeah. So in general, all of the exert creatures play a lot closer to what they are when exerted than what they are when they are not exerted. So that's been the biggest thing that I've been learning recently is that, so like Hooded Brawler, for example, it plays a lot closer to a 3-mana 5/4 than it does a 3-mana 3/2.
Which is so weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the thing is if you get in that extra damage and you're attacking with it, right, and you're exert early, they're like, well, I can't block this turn. And then what are they going to do? Attack back and then take another 5?
Yep.
They really can't afford to do that. But can they also afford to block a 5/4 again in 2 turns? It's like a really weird compromise.
And so with the Minotaur that we were talking about, it's a 4-mana 5/4 menace in essence, right? Like not straight up, but it's very close to that.
Oh, man. And the fact that you can play, like, the white cartouche on it or the red cartouche on it.
Or Brute Strength, or have the uncommon Minotaur that makes it so the target creature can't block.
Like, the card in itself has so many things that combo well with Emberhorn Minotaur. I think that might be why I have it so high.
Yep.
Let's talk about our other 2 cards. We have them in reverse order. I was really close to doing your order. When I first wrote out the list, I had Magma Spray at 1 and Electrify at 2. But because this is more of a Prince format than a Pauper format, I actually switched them. I think
they're very close.
Yeah, and I actually think that this format leads to splashing pretty easily. And I've splashed a lot of Electrifies so far. So because of the number of Electrifies I've splashed, I've put that card up a little bit higher.
Yeah, so I think me having Magma Spray at number 1, it's kind of a common theme. I think this set is aggressive, and I think you need to be able to interact. And Magma Spray lines up really well against a lot of specific cards. There's a lot of 3/2s with Embalm that are overcosted. Like,
I mean, Embalm is another reason to have the card a lot higher too.
Yeah. So like even Initiate, Tall Crop Skirmisher, like these cards that would generally be good against your red aggressive deck because they trade and come back, or you can invalidate them with a 1-mana removal spell, which is really, like, the exiling has been really, really critical.
Yeah, I think that typically in most sets I would have Magma Spray at 1. I think that there are ways to catch up against the aggressive decks that I didn't expect, but whether it's the black cartouche, whether it's the green cartouche, whether it's just playing a freaking 5/5 for 5 for some reason exists that common in this set. I think that there are ways to combat the aggro decks that you really wouldn't think would exist.
Yeah. I think I would take Electrify, Pack 1, Pick 1. So maybe I should put them in different order.
Right. That's the thing.
If I was sitting down at a
you're
table,
presented with a 2. You probably actually take Electrify because you could splash it.
But if I'm in a Magma Spray deck, I really, really, really want multiple Magma Sprays.
Yeah.
And whereas my Electrify, I can kind of replace it with, like, I don't need too many of those.
You could have a final reward. You could have a green cartouche.
I could just have the uncommon that makes target creature not able to block, like the or a red cartouche handles it. If I can get underneath them, it can do a similar thing.
All right, let's go to green. Why don't you read yours off first?
So for mine, number 1, I had the cartouche. So the cartouche of strength. Is that right?
Yeah.
Number 2, I had Naga Vitalis, and number 3, I had the Greatest Sandworm.
Yeah. Number 1, I have the same thing. I have cartouche of strength. Number 2, I have Naga Vitalis. Number 3, I have Colossopede. And I'm willing to fight you to the death over this one.
I think I might agree with you.
Yeah, like after you see my list, you're like, yeah, that makes way more sense.
Colossopede's so good, but Colossopede isn't good in all of the green decks.
I disagree. I think it's good in literally every green deck.
Green, white.
It's a 5/5 for 5. Like,
yeah, it's good.
There's just no good. Like, what deck don't you want that in?
That's true. The Greatest Sandworm is also excellent, though.
No, I do think Sandworm's good because like cycling is like this huge upside, but what deck doesn't want a 5/5 for 5?
No, yeah, so
it invalidates so many strategies.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like the Colossopede's great too.
So let's talk about Sandworm really quick. So that's number 3. Why do we have this card so high?
So having cycling on your bomb rare is so good, and this in essence plays like a bomb. It's a 7-drop that's going to run away with the game. They can't chump block it with meaningless creatures, which is a really, really relevant text. Like them having to trade their 3 and 4 drops for it instead of being able to chump block with tokens is so good.
Dude, I wish that I could. I should have posted my draft deck for the top 8 draft of that PPTQ. Like, if I played 100 drafts with that draft deck, I might win 80 of those drafts.
Really?
Yeah, I had double Colossopede, I had Greater Sandworm, I had cartouche. I had double red cartouche, or I might have a triple red cartouche, and like whatever of Trial of Strength.
Yeah,
like my deck was really good. And
you ran into the 6/7 hexproof.
Yeah,
that card is unbelievable.
It really is. And honestly, like the uncommons in this set, and this is why it's really a print set, right? Is like we're talking about how good Colossopede is, and it just gets blanked. It gets blanked by the Scaled Behemoth. That Scaled Behemoth, like you might not like it, but that card is really good, right? This green uncommon blanks basically every card in the set.
And then combos so well with so many of the commons. Like Cartouche of Strength plus Scaled Behemoth is like not fair. Blue Cartouche on the Scaled Behemoth. Sure, that seems great.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do think that if I'm gonna pick between the two, like I'm looking at my pack, right? My pack sucks. Let's say my pack sucks. And I'm looking at Greater Sandworm or Colossopede as the best cards in the pack. I'm picking Colossopede every time.
Yeah, I could come to that conclusion.
It's only because I think that Colossopede is good in every green strategy.
Yeah,
and maybe that's true of Greater Sandworm too. But like, I feel like there are going to be decks that are like red green or that are going to be green black. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But like Colossopede has always been good every time I've cast it in this format.
The Colossopede has overperformed a lot. Like a lot. So I looked at it and I was like,
which is weird to say about a 5/5 for 5, right? Like if they printed a 4/4 for 4, we would take that every time. If they printed a 3/3 for 3, we would take that every time. So I don't know why we're surprised by a 5/5 for 5 being good, but like it just.
I don't know if I've seen a 5/5 for 5 since I've been playing. Like
I don't know that you've seen a 4/4 for 4 or
no, there's 4/4 for 4s. They're all multicolored though, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like,
no, Team Outrider. What are we talking about? 4-mana 4/4 trample for 4.
Okay, but that's like one of the best cards in that set.
Yeah, that card's stupid. So dumb.
Okay.
I remember seeing that and being like, wait, what?
Okay. Let's talk about the cards that we both have at 2 and 3. So I'll go by the list. We have at number 2. So we got back to the common theme, right? Like that 2-mana ramp creatures are really good in green. Like it's been true in limited for a while. It wasn't true for one set. It became true again.
Yeah, Druid of the Cowl was kind of weird. There's just nothing specific.
It should have been good.
It should have been excellent.
It should have been like one of the best in a long time.
Yeah, and it was just weird why it didn't work out. I don't know why. But this one performs really well.
Does exactly what you wanted to do. It ramps you into your alligator that puts a counter on it, and then ramps you into your Colossipede, and then they lose.
That's the curve right there. Or like I cast a turn 4 Glorybringer off of one mountain. Felt like cheating.
But yeah, you're a cheater. That's why it felt like cheating.
Yeah. It was cheating. It's just so the fixing has come up a decent amount actually. I think in limited, your mana is way worse than you think it is. So I think in general, most people assume that if they're playing 2 colors, they're not going to have very many mana problems. But it's not true. When you're playing like 8 plains, 8 forests, some games you're just going to draw 3 forests and 1 plains and draw your double white spell. And this happening to fix that is really nice. Like it's actually an upside of the card that comes up. It's come up multiple times for me in the the drafts I've already played. So.
I mean, I'm not surprised that a 2-mana ramp creature in limited at common turns out to be one of the best commons. It's just been true for a really long time. I'm just not going to be surprised by it. I'm actually more surprised that Druid of the Cowl didn't turn out than this card does turn out, right? Like even though this card is probably just worse than Druid of the Cowl in most sets, like obviously this is going to be good, right? It's just what you want to be doing. If I have played multiple games where I played this into Emberhorn Minotaur, and my opponent's been like, yeah, you actually just can't beat that. Yeah. Like, I'm never going to beat that.
Yeah. They're dead.
Yeah. We both have Cartouche of Strength at number 1. This is not surprising to me. Like, I don't know who looked
like the best Cartouche.
It, like, you just look at the set, you're like, why does Hunt the Weak cost 1 less?
And get better.
Yeah.
It costs 1 less and better.
And also it gives them trample?
Yeah, and combos with uncommons in ridiculous ways. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
This card, just really quick. So we're looking at our commons. Is there any common that we've listed so far that you would take over Cartouche of Strength?
So pack 1, pick 1.
I could see Electrify.
I wouldn't take Electrify over it. I mean, I also like green the most, so I would take Cartouche of Strength over anything.
That's what I'm wondering. Is it just that this is the best common in the set?
Yeah. I think it either has to be this or Final Reward, but then that's in a weird spot because then we're not even sure if Final Reward is like the best.
We don't even know if it's the best black common. So
so it's definitely this. I think this is definitely the best common. I think it's better than Electrify. I'm pretty sure.
So those are my best 2, right? For me, it's Cartouche of Strength or Electrify.
Yeah.
In the right decks, right? Like Magma Spray might be better in the right decks.
Yeah.
And Final Reward might be better in the best decks. And
I just think Cartouche of Strength is always insane. It's always always
Cartouche
insane.
of Ambition is better in the right decks. But are you ever gonna draft a deck where you're like, take Cartouche of Strength and like not have it just be insane in your deck? No. You're going to kill their best guy. You're going to attack, and they're going to be like, yeah, I lose this game. Like, it's why do you get to play the Hunt the Weak early? Like, the fact that you can double spell with a Hunt the Weak on turn 5 is actually pretty insane.
And giving trample is a huge deal. Comboing with the trials is... I've went like turn 3, make a 4/2. Turn 4... fight your 2-drop.
Yeah, kill their 2-drop with your
4-2 back.
4-2.
Attack you for 5.
Oh,
trample.
yeah.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. Oh, overall, I agree with you. I think it's just the best comment in the set. As far as my testing has gone, this could change over time. Like, this format is weird.
It's very weird.
I find that people are complaining about this format, and I don't have any complaints yet.
I've heard a lot of like polarizing opinions. So a lot of people think it's excellent and really well designed, great. But then a lot of people complain about Archfiend of Ifnir and Glorybringer. And those cards not being mythic rares feels really bad. Like, I think if those cards were mythic rares, people would be so much happier with the limited format. But having to play against an Archfiend, like, feels like every draft is annoying. But
it doesn't feel. I think it's that you have to play against one of multiple rares, right?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of answers, right? Like Electrify kills all of them. Final Reward kills all of them. You could just be the green deck and just not care about them.
Yeah, just play a 6/7. Oh, the 6/7 is also obnoxious. That card is annoying and not fun to play against.
I actually agree. I actually wish that card wasn't in the set, but I don't know.
It's no fun. It's not fun.
I have enjoyed my games in limited in this set, other than that top 8 draft.
Yeah.
Where obviously he played the 6/7 and played double cartouche on it, but like, I just don't feel like that's going to happen that often.
I think this set is very good. I think it has some specific cards that cause it issues that is unfortunate, but I think overall it's like really well designed. Like the cartouche trial synergies played out really nicely. I feel like you get rewarded for like tight play a lot. I think there's lots of racing, lots of like decision points on which card to play, when to cycle. So
no,
in that way,
I think that having more decisions, like when you cycle cards and stuff like that, is really important. People might sit there and say, like, man, I really don't enjoy having some of these cycling cards be in the set, right? Like, for example, we talked last week about Limits of Solidarity being in the set. Like, yeah, it's really annoying that they get a main deck of Limits of Solidarity.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fun for me. And, like, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that, like, I can play multiple Pursuit of Glories in my deck. Like, I could never do that in other sets, and I'm glad that gets to exist.
Yeah.
But I don't get to play multiple Pursuit of Glories and multiple Limits of Solidarity, right? So it's not like I just get to play all of these cycling effects of these very specific cards. I still have to pick. Like, my deck can't be 2 Limits of Solidarity, 2 Pursuit of Glory, 2 Forsake the Worldly, right? Like, that deck doesn't function.
Do anything. Yeah, it doesn't.
Exactly.
It's too much air.
But I can play 1 Limits of Solidarity and 1 Pursuit of Glory and have my deck be functional and pretty good.
Yep.
And I actually do like
rewarded
that.
for making those decisions, which is nice.
Right. I completely agree.
So I think in gameplay and overall, the set has played really, really well, and it feels great, and it feels like all great in terms of like how they developed it and stuff. But certain cards are annoying, but that's fine. You just accept that.
Yeah. So don't forget that you can every week, starting next week, we will do a How Would You Build It. There is one for episode like 58 on the website. I'll rename it. We'll get it uploaded for episode 60. So every week on the show, we want to do a How Would You Build It. It's not easy to do for the set reviews because they're longer shows, but we want to talk about sealed with you and how we would build sealed pools and build them along with you. So check that out next week. Don't forget to check out our sponsor at Play at Game Grid. You can go to playatgamegrid.com, find a game grid near you. They really are a great place to play Magic. We really appreciate them. So check them out at playatgamegrid.com. You can also go to patreon.com/ccmtg to become a patron of the show. Every dollar that you see fit is really appreciated by us. It really makes it easier for us. The next Patreon goal is actually to pay Danny and Michael extra money. Right now, Danny gets paid by Game Grid. Michael gets paid by Oasis. But I would also like to pay them as the owner of Constructive Criticism. So just we're getting close to every goal. The podcast is growing really fast. So check it out. patreon.com/ccmtg. So I want to read something really quick. I got a message from one of our patrons. I'm not going to read the name. I didn't ask to read this on the show. But so for those who don't know, I posted, not even posted, on constructive criticism, I gave out my phone number and told anybody who might be suffering from depression or anything like that, who's having a hard time in life, to give me a call if they ever have a really hard time. Because I honestly feel like the Magic community is full of great people that I want to help. And a lot of people give me a lot of crap. They're like, I cannot believe you gave out your phone number on the internet. And I was like, why? Like, is somebody going to abuse my phone number when I'm trying to help people? And not one person of my 8,000 listeners abused my phone number. Not one.
Way to trust people, Spencer. Good job.
No, like, not one did. But I did get this message that says, hey man, I just wanted to tell you a story about how you changed my life. I've been struggling for a few weeks with my engagement being called off and with the weight of pressure from university and work. This all happened around the time you gave out your phone number on your show, and honestly, just that singular action gave me a huge boost. To know that someone is out there that is willing to do the least that they could be abused, theoretically, to put themselves and their family in a nasty situation, but willing to do it to help someone out, is really important to me. Fast forward a few months, and I'm starting to feel better so that I could go outside, go sit in the basement to do a pre-release. Ironic, as I usually don't play in pre-releases because I'm a silent player in that room, especially during these more casual events, and there's a lot of people I don't know. Anyhow, my game one in this pre-release was against a teenage guy who was making all of the mistakes, and when I first started, he was tapping his creatures to block, playing a sketchy limited deck with no sleeves, #shiver. I quickly won and could see him look actively beaten down. So I tried to offer help. I usually avoid helping people who I think could get upset, but I thought, what would Spencer do? Anyway, he accepted, and we went for the next 20 minutes rebuilding his deck and going over some rules, and I taught him a few nifty interactions he could do. I then decided it's hard to read. I then decided I could up myself, so I went off and bought a pack of sleeves for him. He then proceeded to go 2-3 and looked massively pleased. He came up afterward and thanked me, so I gave him all of my bulk from the pre-release. I was getting a few boxes anyway, so they were all commons, etc. He could always play with more cards. Anyway, I've been wanting to share this with you for a while, and I was too nervous to post it in our main Facebook group. So I really just want to say thank you for all you've done for me, from deck list, still love you, Ruined Erratic, to just the depression and social anxiety that I suffer from. As I finish university in 2 weeks, I'll be uploading more to your platform that you've graciously placed upon me, as well as upping my patronage as I gain employment. You and CCMTG may not have saved my life, but you definitely improved many, many lives, as well as mine and a random teenager, and thank you.
That's awesome.
So, like, I could not have asked for more. Let's be clear, no one has called me from me sharing my phone number, but this is the second person that said, you sharing your phone number on your podcast let me know that you don't care if people call you, you're just there to listen, and that was enough to help me. And like, I don't do these podcasts to make money. I do these podcasts because I enjoy talking to Danny and Michael, and I've improved as a person, as a Magic player, from the mindset that we bring to the table, right? Like, self-reflecting on Magic helps me be better at my job and be a better husband and a better father. It's not just that I enjoy doing that because I enjoy making money from patrons. I actually think that I'm better at life because of my podcasts. And from talking to Danny and Drew from Limited Time Only, they're better at Magic because they have to internalize and think about the game. And I don't know about you, Danny, but like, I'm always better at life when I'm better at Magic.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was just reading a book for work, and I thought about how that, like, the principles in there applied to magic, and then like magic will often apply to things at work or life in general. It's like it's all it your hobbies will often influence your life in many ways, and trying to get better at your hobbies will help you to apply it in life when it might be a situation that you're less willing to try to like work on. But
yeah. All right. Well, shout outs. Danny, do you have any shout outs this week?
I always forget to come prepared with shout outs, but
yeah, obviously it's why you got rid of it on my other show.
Right. I will shout out Paul Farnsworth. I've play tested with him. He's going to the Pro Tour next week, or I guess this weekend, and hope he does well. Him and Alan Lee, they're both great.
Yeah, and shout out to both him and Alan. I hope that they both do well, as well as Alex Sittner, our teammate.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I love having, like, Utah has had multiple people qualified for the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
For many Pro Tours in a row, and I hope that we keep it up. And I don't care
Kai
who they are. Yeah, Kai as well. Like, I honestly don't care who the Utah players are. I just want to always try and improve the Utah Magic community. And to everybody who's qualified, good luck to you. Shout out to you. If you need any help, we at the CCMTG testing group and constructivecriticism.com are here to help you, and we are happy to do so. So please let us know. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter. Where can people find you, Danny?
Mine is at DJ Cathro on Twitter. And then in the Constructive Criticism Facebook group. It's always a good.
You can find me at Spencer13H, as well as in the Constructive Criticism Facebook group. You can find us on LTO at MTG, at LTO MTG on Twitter, and every week on constructivecriticism.com, YouTube, live, and mtgcast.com. If you go to the constructivecriticism.com group, you can actually find links to our Discord channel, as well as our Facebook group. Great places to get in contact with people who have similar mindsets to you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys all next week.
See ya.